Joakim Noah was one of the best passing big men in the league. He was also a two-time All-Star back in 2013 and 2014 and was selected to the All-Defensive First Team twice in 2013 and 2014 and won the Defensive Player of the Year award back in 2014. Remember when he used to do stuff like this?
Joakim Noah, maybe the best passing center in the NBA.
And make defensive plays like this?
Well, this is the versatility, giving Chicago the ability to switch a lot of these pick and rolls, been able to contain that first move by James and then contest late. There's not another center that you can say can consistently make that play other than Noah.
And even talk smack to LeBron like this?
A little bit closer to Noah, who's still talking to him, and somebody's got to stop this. I mean, the Chicago bench has got to stop this.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now he's entering this 2017 to 2018 season preparing to serve a suspension and miss 12 games due to taking performance-enhancing drugs. And he's probably not going to be the starting center for the Knicks because New York just landed Enes Kanter, a solid center that can very likely start in a trade with Oklahoma City. Plus New York has a solid 2-year player in Willie Hernangomez that proved he can be a solid big man in this league from last season in his rookie year. So he can very likely be the center to come off the bench. It's possible that Joakim Noah can be dropped all the way down to being the third string center. So the question is, what happened to Joakim Noah's All-Star career? In this video, I'll be taking you through the downfall of Joakim Noah's career. Once again, it's Third Eye View 195 coming at you with my intellect. Stay tuned. Joakim Noah was drafted 9th in the 2007 NBA draft by the Chicago Bulls. In Joakim Noah's rookie and sophomore season, things didn't start off all that great, but it wasn't bad either. In his rookie season, he averaged 6.6 points per game, 0.9 steals per game, 0.9 blocks per game, 1.1 assists per game, and 5.6 rebounds per game, playing 20.7 minutes per game, shooting 48.2% from the field. The Chicago Bulls never made it to the playoffs in 2008. They had a record of 33 wins and 49 losses. Things got better for Noah in his sophomore season, the 2008 to 2009 season. Noah averaged 6.7 points per game, 0.6 steals per game, 1.4 blocks per game, 1.3 assists per game, and 7.6 rebounds per game, shooting 55.6% from the field. His minutes increased by 3.5 minutes. He played 24.2 minutes per game. The Chicago Bulls were able to make it to the playoffs in 2009. During the season, they had a 500 record. Chicago had a record of 41 wins and 41 losses. They went up against a very experienced Boston Celtics team that won the championship the previous year in the 2008 playoffs that had Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, and Ray Allen. Kevin Garnett never played this series because he was out for the whole playoffs because he sprained his right knee. The series went to 7 games, but they fell short to the Celtics. Noah performed well this series. This was his first playoff appearance in his career. He averaged 10.1 points per game, 0.9 steals per game, 2.1 blocks per game, 2.3 assists per game, and 13.1 rebounds per game, shooting 51% from the field, playing 38.7 minutes per game. This was a turning point in his career after this playoff performance. He played better in the playoffs than in the regular season that year. In the 2009 to 2010 season, Noah's third season, he averaged 10.7 points per game, 0.5 steals per game, 1.6 blocks per game, 2.1 assists per game, and 11 rebounds per game, shooting 50.5% from the field, playing 30.1 minutes per game. Noah only played 64 games because he got injured. This was the first red flag in his career. He suffered from plantar fasciitis. He was out for 3 weeks. The Bulls made it to the playoffs for the second consecutive year, and Noah was able to play in the 2010 playoffs, but the Chicago Bulls lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games in the first round. In that series, Noah averaged 14.8 points per game, 1.8 steals per game, 1.4 blocks per game, 2.6 assists per game, and 13 rebounds per game, shooting 52.8% from the field, playing 37.6 minutes per game. In Noah's fourth season, the 2010 to 2011 season, he signed a 5-year extension with the Chicago Bulls worth $60 million. But unfortunately, the second red flag happened in his career. He suffered ligament damage in his hand that required surgery, and it was announced that he would miss from 8 to 10 weeks. He made a return in the 55th game that season on February the 23rd, 2011, after having right thumb surgery. The Chicago Bulls made it to the playoffs for the third consecutive time in the 2011 playoffs. This time they were able to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they lost to the heavy loaded Miami Heat squad that had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Throughout the 2011 playoffs, Joakim Noah averaged 8.7 points per game, 1 steal per game, 2.1 blocks per game, 2.5 assists per game, and 10.2 rebounds per game, shooting 41.1% from the field and playing 33.1 minutes per game. In the 2011 to 2012 season, Noah's 5th season, he played solid. He also recorded his first triple triple-double in his career. On February the 22nd, 2012, he had 13 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. He did this against the Milwaukee Bucks. Noah's the first Chicago Bulls center since Artis Gilmore to get a triple-double in a game since Artis did it back in 1977. During that season, Noah averaged 10.2 points per game, 0.6 steals per game, 1.4 blocks per game, 2.5 assists per game, and 9.8 rebounds per game, shooting 50.8% from the field and playing 30.4 minutes per game. The Chicago Bulls advanced again to the playoffs for the fourth consecutive time, but they lost in the first round to the Philadelphia 76ers because Derrick Rose tore his ACL in Game 1 and Joakim Noah severely sprained his ankle in Game 3. They both missed the rest of the playoffs. In the 3 games of this series, Noah averaged 15 points per game, 0.7 steals per game, 1.3 blocks per game, 3 assists per game, and 9.3 rebounds per game, shooting 73.1% from the field, playing 33 minutes per game. Greater things came Joakim Noah's way. The next season, he became an All-Star for the first time in his career, but he was selected to be a reserve for the 2013 NBA All-Star. Noah was the first Chicago Bulls center to be selected as an All-Star since Artis Gilmore was selected as an All-Star back in 1982. In Noah's All-Star debut, he scored 8 points and had 10 rebounds. He was 2 points shy of a double-double. On December the 18th, 2012, Noah had another triple-double, which was the second triple-double in his career. He scored 11 points, grabbed 13 rebounds, and dished out 10 assists for the game against the Boston Celtics. A couple of months later, on February the 28th, in 2013, Noah had another triple-double. This was his third triple-double in his career. He scored 23 points, grabbed 21 rebounds, and blocked 11 shots. Against the Philadelphia 76ers, Joakim Noah tied Chicago's franchise record of a player blocking 11 shots in a regular season game. The first player to set this record was Artis Gilmore for the Chicago Bulls back on December the 20th, 1977. After this performance, Noah joined the list of great players like Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Sean Bradley, Shaquille O'Neal, and Elvin Hayes to be the only players to have a triple-double of 20-20-10 in points, rebounds, and blocks since blocks began being recorded in the NBA. Noah was the only player among those guys to do this, shooting 65% from the field as well, so he's basically in his own league accomplishing this. During the 2012 to 2013 season, Noah averaged 11.9 points per game, 1.2 steals per game, 2.1 blocks per game, 4 assists per game, and 11.1 rebounds per game, shooting 48.1% from the field, playing 36.8 minutes per game. The Bulls made it to the playoffs for the 5th consecutive time, but they lost to the Miami Heat in the conference semifinals in the second round in 5 games. Throughout the 2013 playoffs, Noah averaged 10.8 points per game, 0.8 steals per game, 2.2 blocks per game, 2.3 assists per game, and 9.6 rebounds per game, shooting 43.7% from the field and playing 34.1 minutes per game. Noah's best season was the 2013 to 2014 season. He was selected to be an All-Star for the second time in his career. He was a reserve again. On February the 11th, 2014 against the Atlanta Hawks, Noah had a triple-double again. He scored 19 points, grabbed 26 rebounds, and dished out 11 assists. 8 days later, on February the 19th, 2014 against the Toronto Raptors, he had 13 assists, and Chicago beat the Raptors 94-92. He became the first center since Brad Miller to have 3 games of 10 or more assists in a season. Brad Miller did this back when he was on the Sacramento Kings during the 2005 to 2006 season. Noah was also the first center to have 13 assists in a game since Vlade Divac did it back in 1996. A couple of months after that, Noah had another triple-double, which would be the 5th triple-double in his career on March the 2nd, 2014. In this game, he scored 13 points, had 12 rebounds, and dished out 14 assists against the New York Knicks. Noah was the first center to have the most assists in franchise history as a Chicago Bull by getting 14 assists that game. He was also the first center to get 14 assists in a game since 1986. 3 days later, on March the 5th, 2014, he got another triple-double against the Detroit Pistons. Noah scored 10 points, had 11 rebounds, and dished out 11 assists in this game. He had 120 assists throughout the whole month of March in 2014. This was the most assists in a month that a center has had since Wilt Chamberlain did it back in 1968, where he had 155 assists in the month of March. This was Joakim Noah's 6th triple-double in his career. A couple of weeks after, on April the 9th, he had his 7th triple-double in his career, which would be his 4th of the 2013 to 2014 season against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Noah scored 15 points, had 13 rebounds, and dished out 10 assists. Every time Joakim Noah would get a triple-double, Chicago would win. So that goes to show how valuable he was to Chicago back in those days. He was a very important piece to Chicago back then. Joakim Noah received the greatest accomplishment in his NBA career. He won the Defensive Player of the Year back in 2014. He was also the first Chicago Bull to win this award since Michael Jordan won it back in 1988. This was Noah's best statistical season. Throughout the 2013 to 2014 season, he averaged 12.6 points per game, 1.2 steals per game, 1.5 blocks per game, 5.5 assists per game, and 11.3 rebounds per game, shooting 47.5% from the field, playing 35.3 minutes per game. The Bulls made it to the playoffs again for the 6th consecutive time in 2014, but they lost in 5 games to the Washington Wizards. Throughout the 5 games, Noah averaged 10.4 points per game, 1 steal per game, 1.4 blocks per per game, 4.6 assists per game, and 12.8 rebounds per game, shooting 51.2% from the field, playing 42 minutes per game. Noah really never had a good 2014 to 2015 season. This was the start of his decline. During that season, he averaged 7.2 points per game, 0.7 steals per game, 1.1 blocks per game, 4.7 assists per game, and 9.6 rebounds per game, shooting 44.5% from the field, playing 30.6 minutes per game. Even in the playoffs, Noah never performed how he usually did in past seasons prior to the 2015 playoffs. The Bulls made it to the playoffs for the 7th consecutive time, but lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference semifinals the second round in 6 games. Throughout the 2015 playoffs, Noah averaged 5.8 points per game, 0.8 steals per game, 1.2 blocks per game, 3.2 assists per game, and 11 rebounds per game, shooting 40.8% from the field and playing 32.9 minutes per game. But Noah not playing up to par isn't a big deal, because during players' careers, sometimes their numbers fluctuate. For example, like the most dominant big man Shaquille O'Neal. When you look at his 4th season with the Lakers until his 1st season with the Miami Heat, his numbers fluctuated. I didn't count the first 3 seasons he was with the Lakers because he battled with injuries, so there's a possibility that Noah could have bounced back and play how he normally played in previous years the next season. But as you can see, it's not really the injuries that hold him back, because when he got injured, he bounces back. So what caused this sudden fall off? The answer is Tom Thibodeau being fired. If you're an NBA fan, you know how much of a defensive-minded coach Tom Thibodeau is. He's a big reason why the Boston Celtics even won a ring back in 2008 when he was the assistant coach for Boston Celtics, and why Chicago was so successful and so many players flourished under him. He won the Coach of the Year award back in 2011. Under Tom Thibodeau's tenure in Chicago, he brought Chicago to the conference finals. Derrick Rose became the youngest MVP in NBA history at the age of 22 years old back in 2011. And like I said before, Joakim Noah won the Defensive Player of the Year award back in 2014, and Jimmy Butler won the Most Improved Player award back in 2015. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. Joakim Noah just fit Tom Thibodeau's system well, and when he got fired, that's when everything went left for Noah. Noah wasn't seeing eye to eye with the new coach Fred Hoiberg, and he lost his starting spot to Nikola Mirotic in the preseason of the 2015 to 2016 season and came off the bench, but the official starter was Paul Gasol. Noah also battled injuries during the 2015 to 2016 season. He only played 29 games. Noah wasn't the only player having problems with Chicago's new head coach. Jimmy Butler was as well, until Jimmy Butler got traded to Minnesota. That just proves that Fred Hoiberg wasn't the coach for Chicago. When Noah left Chicago and signed with the New York Knicks, he continued to struggle, but in some games he would show flashes of who he was before, when he was playing like an all-star. So this is proof that some players can't play with certain coaches, especially when there's a culture change. The only way I see Noah redeeming his career is playing under Tom Thibodeau again. Hopefully Noah can get back to what he was before when he was playing like an all-star, because he's one of my favorite players, and it's sad to see how fast and how much he's fallen off, and now he's being discussed in trade rumors. The Knicks might trade him now. Hopefully he doesn't become a player that bounces around the league now. But that's it for the video, guys. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification button and comment below. Peace.
Not all change is good, sometimes it's bad to be different. Keep your mind open, birds will build a nest in it. Tweets no longer get to me, I never signed out. I'm at a point in my life that I wish I was blind.